Hello. So, good afternoon, everyone. Today we'll be talking about F5 application delivery and cloud security. Um, we've started already. So F5 Big IP is an application delivery controller. Is Most people call it load balancer, but F5 don't actually address the appliance as a load balancer because they feel that it does much more than in an ordinary load balancer. So they prefer to call it an application delivery controller. So F5 IP is a family of products covering software and hardware designed around application availability, access control, and security solution, which it provides a level of abstraction and control to ensure the smooth flow of network traffic between clients and servers. So all what the basic functionality of F5 big IP is to control traffic from users and clients and distribute the app traffic um, across web servers behind it, in form of load balancing and other inbuilt settings that is done on it. We have a quite number of modules that is in F5 appliances. We have like much more up to like 10, if not more. But I'll just briefly talk about like six five of them. The first module on F5 appliance is local traffic manager, and the local traffic manager is the one that handles the load balancing of application traffic across the web servers behind it, in accordance to the kind of settings that is on it. We have various types of load balancing method. We have the Robin load balance, we have the dynamic and all that. So local traffic managers ensures that application traffic are well load balanced across web services. We have the application security manager, which happens to be the WAF module on F5 bit appliance. It's the security aspect of F5 that protects against um, web attack, the likes of SQL injection, cross-site, and all that. So that's the module of application security manager. We have the access policy manager that handles the authentication aspect of F5. Anything that has to do with authentication, anything that has to do with VPN, that's virtual private network, and access list and all that. Access policy manager handles such, and is a separate module on F5. Another module that is on F5 is Advanced Firewall Manager, which deals with inbound and outbound traffic based on policy rules that has been set for the virtual servers on F5. We have the secure web gateway, which handles and secure inbound and outbound traffic of malicious site and all that. So here we'll talk much about what F5 offers and also the cloud edition of it. So maintain application availability. One of the things F5 offers, the basic thing F5 offers is availability of services, availability of application services in an environment or in the company. In terms of load balancing, today's network and demands for application service offers that there should be a form of availability. And one server, like one resource of server, cannot actually undo heavy traffic, and that's what the balancing actually comes into play, whereby the same content of services are shared across many servers, and as users are requesting for traffic based on that server, F5 intelligently would balance and route traffic to the resources that any user from outside the network is trying to access. So as regard load balancing, you distribute application load across multiple servers to increase availability. Also, Earth monitor, one of the intelligent ways that F5 also is also viable to network is ability to test and verify the health and performance of the status of the web server is distributing to. So there's a way we can also set F5 in order to monitor the web server that we are distributing traffic to, whether they are down or up, so that F5 can intelligently route the traffic to the available servers, in quotes, traffic sharing. So as regards traffic sharing, F5 directs a particular type of traffic to resources designed to handle that type of workload. That means that, for instance, if we have web servers in an like multiple web servers in our environment, and each web servers has been designed to handle a particular traffic based on the design. For instance, there may be a particular web server in an environment that handle only English provincial web traffic, so such that anything that has to do with English preferences are redirected to that server, and anything that has to do with maybe um, Japanese language and all that can be redirected to other servers within that premises. So F5 intelligently handles and directs traffic based on the user's needs and accessibility. Another thing is connection management, which ensures mirror connection. When F5 is in HM mode, which is high availability, and for instance, maybe there's a disruption in the network, and maybe one of the F5 or one of the appliances is down, F5 can actually divert connections of traffic to the available to the next appliance without any loss of connection or loss of traffic in that at that particular moment. So the mirror connection can send information to prevent interruption in service. So another one of the viable functionalities of F5 is to ensure that your apps perform at their best, which means that the application services are being optimized based on the settings done on F5. And in terms of scalability, there's a flexible architecture to adapt to shifting business and performance and application links. And also F5 also ensures that manual setup of set can be automated. And I will discuss these three functionalities ahead. Now, the application services. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
we
you.
can, boy.
Yeah.
Continue.
So now as regards the application service, improving your end user experiences, there are features that are embedded in F5 to ensure that applications perform at their very best. One of the ways that is done is TCP optimization, which enable the state-of-art optimization to dramatically improve mobile performances. In order for traffic to flow well, there is a way that F5 incorporates TCP optimization for free flow of traffic to and through the app deployment. So also it's also leverage new technologies like HTTP version 2 and WebSockets without re-architecting. It's leverage these emerging protocols for smoother experiences for users. And one of the feature also that is very, very viable is caching, where offloading repetitive traffic from application servers to improve performance and scale. So F5 has the ability to cache users um, users traffic to a particular maybe web server, as long as it has been configured to do so, so that F5 will not keep trying to make a request from the web server behind it for such a repetitive request from the server. Then we have the compression, which compresses data from application to reduce traffic and overcome latency. So another feature on F5 that optimizes network is the SSL encryption and SSL offloading. One of the common method of encrypting data is the use of SSL certificates, and applications such as HTTP and HTTPS. For HTTP is a plain text application that is vulnerable to attack because it doesn't have a secure um, it doesn't have a secure way of securing data. So in this, HTTPS is introduced in order to encrypt data for users, in order to um, so that it's not really open to everybody. So there's a way F5 also make use of this to encrypt traffic with a choice of cipher suite based on the policy, compliance, or mobile needs. And one of the coolest feature that F5 also enhanced is SSL offloading. SSL offloading is just like um, instead of us having to install certificates across the web servers in order to be able to use HTTPS traffic and all that. Um, F5, the certificate that is meant to be installed on all the servers behind this can be installed on F5, and any traffic coming in can be authenticated with that SSL traffic, and F5 can now send a plain text of traffic or applications to the web servers behind it, which also makes our traffic and setup secure. It also reduces the level of resources utilization of F5 of web servers. Ordinarily, when there's transaction between web servers using SSL certificate and HTTPS and users online, there's a level of resources that is consumed to process such traffic by the web server. So when F5 intercepts this traffic, the burden is laid off from the web servers and is being controlled and intercepted by F5. So F5 believe the web servers such level of high usage of resources. So another is perfect forward secrecy, which protects customer privacy from future decryption with a unique key for each session, visibility and control. So with this, you can remove the blind spot that is created by encryption for inbound and outbound traffic just with SSL offloading. So also we key protection, protect and manage keys with hardware security modules for physical, virtual, and AWS cloud. So another module or feature that is enjoyable on F5 is also is analytics. Real-time operational intelligence, which ensures the application visibility. Any traffic can actually be captured and seen, live on F5, and F5 is actually robust on the analytics. So F5 analytics provide detailed monitoring for applications to analyze and improve performance. High-speed logging processes and send the log messages to remote high-speed log servers. So no matter the level of traffic flowing through to and fro or within F5 has that feature to be able to capture those traffic and detail them, and you can always go back to the F5 analytics and see the performance of the resources. In terms of scalability, as business grow and all that, when F5 is in HA mode, F5 has a feature called a clustering, which ensures that more than two F5 can be in a cluster in a cluster and handling traffic. So as business grows and we scale, we can admin can actually add more F5 appliances to the already existing architecture without actually without having to distort the architecture and all that, and it can actually pick up. So there is a flexible way of it ensures flexible scalability whereby you can easily scale as the business grows and demands more network traffic. So we talk about programmability, the ability to customize to your specific needs. Um, you know, you know, as technology progresses, we are moving into automation. The time of automation has actually done on us, whereby nobody wants to deploy or configure their stuff manually. So F5 also ensures the automation of app deployment, app deployment based on specific need. There is a feature called iApps on F5 that and also recommendations based on the kind of app you want to develop in your environment. So with this in place, it's easy. You can easily deploy apps. You can easily deploy for your apps needs on the go without actually having to to input them manually. So F5 also F5 is a full proxy device, which means that when F5 intercepts the traffic or is placed in a network architecture, it acts as a full proxy, which means that F5 intercepts traffic, and the connection to F5 it establish a complete three-way handshake with the requesting client before sending the traffic to the desired web servers. So unlike traditional maybe proxy server that has to do with maybe directing like your web requests to the server directly, F5 intercepts and ensures that every traffic going to maybe a web server requested for is first terminated on the box on the device. It exchanges the three-way handshake first. So for instance, when this is an employee over the internet requesting maybe a service from on F5, maybe behind F5 web services, the first thing is that the three-way handshake is first established between the client and the F5, between the requesting client and the F5. And one of the things that this mitigates against naturally is that it mitigates against DDoS attack. It mitigates against DDoS attack against the web server. So, for instance, we know about scenes about flood scene and all that, which are the attack that ensures that a web server is overwhelmed and rendered useless. So because F5 intercepts the traffic, all the traffic are terminated on F5 first before F5 now intelligently route that traffic to the web server that has the resources that is being requested for. So for instance, there's a request from the employee, partners, and customers. So this established a three-way handshake with the F5, and all other communication are done first. The exchange of server authentication and all that are done first, and the application is being before now sending the get HTTP version 1.1 to the F5. Then after this is done, F5 now send that request on a separate session to the web server that has the resources, and which actually ensures that everything goes smooth and clean before the web server now send the requested web page or resources back to the user. So it's a very great technology that ensures that traffic are being well monitored and you actually know what is going on within your environment before maybe an attack surface. Okay, so now we'll talk about the components of a big IP object. When we are talking about or maybe F5, what are the things that you are expected or needs in terms of configuration and all that? And I'll start with the node. You know, a node is a logical object on the big IP local traffic manager system that identifies the IP address of a physical resource on the network. You can explicitly create a node, or you can instruct local traffic manager to automatically create one when you add a pool member to a load balancing pool. So um, a node is an object of big IP appliance, and it represents the IP address configured on it represents the server, the actual server that is configured. For instance, if you have a physical server that is attached to an F5, that physical server, the IP address configured on it is the node. That IP address of the server itself is the node. So each IP address represents the node configured on F5. So if you have like 3 physical servers or 3 virtual servers in your environment, each IP address on the F5 for those physical servers are the node. And the node, after the node, we have the pool member. The pool member is actually a logical object on the big IP local traffic manager system that identifies the IP address of the physical resource with the specified application or service port on the network. For instance, you have the pool member is actually the IP address of the physical server with the kind of service or application you are trying to run on that server. For instance, if you're running an HTTP application on those server, so on F5, it regards this as a pool member of a pool, which with the port, because HTTP port is 80. If it's FTP is maybe 21. You understand? So the combination of the IP address and the ports makes the pool member of in an F5. So here we have the pool. So the pool is a logical set of devices such as web server that you group together to receive and process traffic for a particular virtual server. Instead of sending client traffic to the destination IP address specified in the client request, the big IP system sends the request to any of the nodes that are members of that pool. So we have the pool member. For you to be a member, that means you belong to a particular group. So the pool in itself is a group of pool members, and it doesn't actually have maybe an IP address or something. It's just that they are the pool members are grouped together to form a pool. I get me. So each member belongs to a pool, and it can be named anything on F5. So this pool is the one that is now that is attached to the virtual server that we're going to discuss now. So a virtual server is a traffic management object on the big IP system that is represented by a virtual IP address and a service, such as 192.168.20.10.18. When clients on an external network send application traffic to virtual server, the virtual server listens for that traffic and through destination address translation directs the traffic according to the way you configure the settings on the virtual server. So a primary purpose of a virtual server is to distribute traffic across the pool servers that you specify in the virtual server configuration. So the virtual server is actually the external, like I just read, is the external facing like IP address and in conjunction with the kind of services that users maybe on the external surface are going to be able to reach. If you are running a service on an HTTP application, that's port 8. That means the virtual server will have an IP address with the port of that service that you're trying to run, which is maybe which is HTTP traffic port 8. So through this, when users are trying to access this virtual server on F5, the virtual server is now the one that will now distribute that traffic um, to the pool members behind the F5 based on the request that you're making over the internet or externally. So, a virtual server on F5 listens for and processes traffic based on what has been configured. So, for instance, um, if the IP address of the virtual server is as stated here, and a client is requesting for a service on a web server behind an F5, which might not be even be visible to the um, to the requesting client. So the F5, the virtual server is responsible for directing that traffic to the pool member that has that resources that is being requested for. So for instance, based on the resources that is being requested for, the F5 sent request based on the load balancing method that has been configured on the virtual server to the pool members behind it. Is there any question on this? Okay, let's move forward. So um, we'll be discussing on um, the evolving IT landscape and challenges, and also talk about big IP cloud edition. So now, as we all know that technology is advancing, and the way applications are being deployed are also advancing from the traditional way to maybe to the cloud and all that. You can see that users are becoming more mobile as the day goes by, and the way applications are being deployed also are moving from the traditional way to a very current way. There is a surge in the number of remote workers lately, which also impact on the deployment of applications. You can see with this also comes with the emerging protocols and applications are being used in defining it. And in this, we'll see more software defined devices than we've ever seen before. So because businesses are moving to the cloud, there's a way F5 is also defining and also trying to meet customers' needs based on based on the advancement, and that's where we are going to see what cloud big IP cloud edition actually talks about. So we'll see that there has been explosion in apps demands scalable operation. Based on demography, we know that new app growth has increased by 19% in this year. Enterprises have on average 200 apps, and smartphone users have more than 80 apps on their phone. There is increase in web application attacks. 36% with less than 25% of their apps protected with a WAF. That's web application firewalling. And web app attacks are the number one source of data breaches. There's been a long row of 3B credentials reported stolen in 2016. So one of the challenges also is that app teams require fast time to market. You see 40% of IT spend on apps today is based on DevOps model. More than 70% of configuration and deployment steps are also automated. So another thing that F5 also looks into is that NetOps needs to collaborate with app team and adapt quickly to automate and deliver app services to internal customers because of the increase in app usage and deployment. So one of the things that F5 also looked into is that they want a way whereby there will be frictionless access and right-sized offers, fast and flexible installation, faster development and deployment, better alignment to capacity needs with auto scaling. So also development, integration and automation. There has been a collaboration of both private and public cloud platform usage for both customers and end users. We have deployment without deep domain expertise and greater automation through publish and REST APIs. So we'll talk about introduce Big IP Cloud Edition, and what Big IP Cloud Edition brings into face is the combination of per app VE. So before I before I proceed, Big IP comes in different versions. Comes as an hardware, it comes as a software. It also comes as a cloud edition. So the hardware of Big IP is known as big FI Big IP appliances, and the software version of it is known as a Big IP Virtual Edition, while the Cloud Edition is known as the Cloud Edition. We also have a Big IQ. It's just like for people that are conversant with Forti Manager. Big IQ also is a device or appliance that manages multiple multiple Big IP appliances, whether virtual or physical altogether. So there is also a version of F5 that have to do with per app, like based on customization of a customer's demand or organization demand. F5 comes with what is known as per app virtual edition, which is dedicated to a specific app. So the background is that modern application delivery controllers, which is ADC, ADC, Big IP is also referred to as ADC, which is Application Delivery Controller. So modern application delivery controller and web application firewalls can provide services to dozens or even hundreds of applications. But however, to better enable agile development and delivery processes, some organizations are seeking a simpler approach where each application is deployed with its own application delivery and security services. So perhaps V is mainly for a dedicated app for an organization, which comes with both LTM, which is local traffic manager, and WAF, that's web application firewalling. Those are the two things that are in combination of this app for maximum security of that specific app. So the F5 Big IP perhaps virtual editions provide DevOps teams with an ADC and a WAF to deliver services and security just for the application they are developing and deploying on any of the leading cloud platforms, whether it's AWS, whether Azure, or whether Google Cloud. So the Big IP app virtual edition deliver the same scalable, secure, and customizable market-leading services provided by traditional FI physical and virtual ADC, and inform factor appropriate for supporting the individual application. This is quite this is quite different from the normal physical and um, virtual Big IP, because this one is solely dedicated to a particular app that maybe a DevOps in an organization is deploying and customized to that one, and it only comes with both local traffic manager, which functions as load balancer, and also WAF, which function as a web application firewall in one. So what Big IP Cloud comes with, it comes with this combination of both per app V and the enhanced Big IQ management. So this enhanced Big IQ management enabled, you can also manage this um, this perhaps virtual edition on in one pane and see the analytics and how they are doing the performances just like that. The normal big IQ manages the normal physical and virtual edition of big IQ in one pane, but this one is just streamlined to perhaps be which is dedicated to them. So the Big IQ Cloud Edition details, which is targeted to a single application deployable with application. So we have both the LTM and the advanced WAF combination. So when getting license for this is only the license that will be gotten for both the LTM and WAF. I said earlier that we have different modules of incorporated in big IP that can be enabled. We have the APM, we have the secure gateway. So we have the LTM and the WAF are the ones that are combined together for perhaps virtual edition of this. And the performance is between 25 megapps and 200 um, Mbps, and the config limit is one virtual IP, three virtual servers, and all that. These are just the attributes of the Big IQ Cloud Edition details. So big the Big IP Cloud Edition availability is in both the private and public clouds, which provides consistent app services across cloud environments. We have it on VMware, Azure Stack, Cisco, and OpenStack, and on the cloud, on the public cloud, on all AWS, Azure, and the Google Cloud platform. So the key features and benefit of the cloud edition. So it's solely for dedicated services for apps, and it's easiest to use and operate. It delivers dedicated F5 app services for each app. It breaks down the barriers to deploying existing and new apps faster. So one of the challenges that F5 wants to mitigate is the approach of the net the no the combination of networks and app teams being able to work together and quickly develop an app for production usage. And this also this also enables that to be quickly developed. So industry leading dedicated traffic management and app protection for existing apps. So as the DevOps are developing the apps and all that, it also comes with securing such app straight up without having to be waiting for licenses and all that, and it's cost effective F5 app services for the next 12 apps. The benefits is that right size to enable perhaps deployment of services, isolation of service failure, reduce impact to business operations. So it improves productivity with automated provisioning, and there is a level of advanced protection for all apps that are being deployed. So in an organization or in a system, you can have like this or perhaps cloud edition in like more than one of it for different apps that are dedicated to them, and they all can be managed by the Big IQ. So another four key is that its cost is effective for next tier of apps. It comes with the combination of both. It comes with the combination of both the LTM and the WAF, which ensures that which ensures maximum security for each app. It prevents attacks, takeover of data or data exfiltration through unprotected web and mobile apps, stop all 7 DDoS attacks that impact app performance and availability. Centralized policies and audit logs ensures consistency for compliance reporting. So the aspect of the advanced protection is that it stops new and evolving attacks. With this with this level of of technology, and there is a constant update of protection against both evolving attacks and all that, because it's basically in the cloud, and it can is a software defined um, um, application, only needing perhaps advanced WAF to protect against sophisticated attacks. Policy builder auto tunes blocking for a wide range of attacks, and proactive both detection and mitigation, prevention of credential theft and sorry, and stuffing. Another use case is self-service for hub team. On the normal, what I call it normal, on the big IQ appliance itself, there is a feature called iApps, which ensures automation of web app service of apps. And on this, there is a built and approved app template for easy deployment of any kind of application that a developer or an organization is trying to come up with. So there is a catalog of templates for common deployments, template based on approved policies or configurations, and is easy to deploy. That is easy deployment by GUI or single API. With this, there's no networking expertise actually needed because of the way it has been designed. So one of the benefits of this also seamless updates to new software version. On a big IQ um, appliance and all that, why you want to update maybe any of the versions and all that, you have to go download and all that. But on this, it is automated. There's automated rolling upgrades, and which eliminates manual upgrades for the any kind of version of the apply of the big IQ that you're running, and it's supported on in both VMware and AWS. So with big IQ in place, you can easily upgrade, and you can automate upgrade, licensing and all that on the big IQ. So the summary of big IQ, big IP CloudEdition is that it delivers a dedicated F5 app services for each app. It's comprehensive, easy to view analytics for each app, best protection for more apps to close security gaps, simple app templates for app teams to deploy services in seconds, and policy-based auto scale to quickly meet capacity needs. So this is the dashboard. I wish I could get us a live dashboard to this, but I didn't have access to it. So with this big IQ enhanced management, which can be able to you can be able to check the performance of each app. Can drill down to specific app. We can check the app edge performance stats and the security status of the app that has been deployed on that. So also yes, so it's basically for each app to know how the configuration has been done, how the performance is going, and the events and all that. So with this in place, we can easily auto scale app services, based on the templates designed, can trigger based on CPU and memory throughput, can manually scale out for unplanned events, and based on what has been defined, it can easily auto scale if one of maybe the CPU is being consumed more, or the memory is going out of hand. You can trigger your metric based on that, so that new perhaps VLAN can be deployed easily. So we've come to the end of this trend. I don't know if you have any questions. Any questions and any contribution? Hello, are we there?
Yes, Wale, we are here. We can hear you.
Okay, I said I'm done with the training. I don't know if there is any question.
No question from my end.
Sorry, Wale.
Yeah.
This F5, did you also call it big IP, right?
Yes. It's also called.
Is it the same? Okay, what's the difference between the big IP and big IQ? Because I've been seeing big everywhere.
Yeah, so I explained that big IP is the appliance itself that does both load balancing, security, and all that. You understand? So big IQ is like is also like an appliance that manages multiple big big IP, multiple F5 appliance. I get me in terms of maybe you want to configure or manage them. You can manage multiple appliances on a single pane.
Okay,
Just in
I understand.
one. Yeah.
So it's like enterprise manager in first
Yes. It's like enterprise manager is like FortiManager manager in FortiGate.
Yeah, FortiManager. Yeah. Okay. That's good.
Any other question? Anybody else?
Okay, I think I have another question.
Mm.
Is it deployed inline? Because you mentioned it can do all this decryption, it has all these features. So I don't know how it's deployed, whether it's inline. Because being able,
Okay, so as like I mentioned, 1 minute. F5 is a full proxy appliance, which means that it intercepts traffic destined to a particular web server that you've configured behind it. Let me show you where. So um 1 minute. So yeah, so F5 is a full proxy appliance that does load balancing. Full proxy means that, for instance, when we do a destination NAT to maybe to a web server, in-house web server, I get him. That's acts as a proxy. That means you can easily get across the web server. But what this does is that F5 stands in front of web services or web servers that you want people to be able to reach, and on their behalf, it intercepts traffic and direct traffic to them. So, for instance, when a user on the internet tries to access a web services, the first point of contact to the web services is F5, and it creates, there's what we call a client side connection, which happens on on F5. That one completes a three-way handshake with F5 first before F5 now redirects that traffic to where it's going to. So this is the three-way handshake that is being completed on F5 before you now have access, get a pass to the appliance, to the web services that is being requested for. So a connection is being done first on the client side, and another connection is being done on the server side, which where the web servers are present. So before the web server now respond back to the request to the requesting client. So I wouldn't say it's an inline, or I wouldn't say it's a NAT or something. It's just that it's a full proxy device for web services or for application services. Do you get that?
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I got it. This F5 is powerful. It can do a lot of things.
Yeah, it is. Any other question? Okay, I would regard this as no question. Or is anybody still talking?
Okay, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I would have loved, maybe let's just have an overview of the F5 platform. So what like if a customer wants to go by the F5 or go with the F5 now, what solutions, what different solutions can they stand to gain from that platform? Like for instance, we health load balancing, we talk of other stuff they can gain. So it's good to have an space.
I discussed that earlier in my hello. Can you hear me? Hello. So I hello.
Provide security at the aspect.
Wally is back.
Okay, Wally.
Wally is back.
Yeah, Wally.
Okay.
Wally, sorry, before you lost connection, I was actually asking if you can run an overview of those modules.
Okay, I already I did that earlier before, I think before you guys joined. So I'll go back again. So I said F5 is 1 minute. Okay. So I said F5 is a family of products covering software and hardware designed around application availability, access control, and security solutions. So F5 is not just a load balancer. I guess me. F5, many people regard this as a load balancer, but F5 doesn't regard their appliances as load balancer. They rather call it application delivery controller. So with this, F5 has different modules inculcated in it, and I have like 6 of the modules that I just talked about briefly. One of the modules is local traffic manager. The local traffic manager on F5 handles what is known as load balancing and intelligent traffic traffic routing to various web servers that has been configured on it. So anything that has to load balancing, traffic routing, and all that to web services on F5, local traffic manager and do such. We get another module we know is application security manager, which is the web application firewall. You understand? Anything that, which is the security aspect of F5, anything that has to do with SQL injection, cross-siting, anything that has to do with attacks on F5, like DDoS and all that. This is the module that handles such processes. You understand? So the other aspect of the other module known is access policy manager, which handles authentication, VPN connection and configuration, access policies and all that. Anything that has to do with authenticating users, maybe remotely or locally. Access policy managers handle that. Anything that has to do with SSL VPN, connecting to both the web servers and F5 remotely and all that over the VPN. Access policy manager handles such. We have advanced firewall manager that deals with both inbound and outbound traffic protection, just like the normal firewall that we all deal with. It prevents attacks in terms of outbound traffic from both and from the virtual server that has been configured based on the policy rule and policies that has been configured to do that. We have the secure web gateway that secures both inbound and outbound from malware. So these are some of the modules that are present on F5 big appliances that has been discussed. But the basic and the basic of all these, or what I call it, the one that we first come in contact with is the local traffic manager, because it's the one that does both the load balancing, the intelligence sharing of resources and all that on F5. Exactly. Hello. Hello, any other question?
Ade, are you satisfied?
Hello.
Ola, are you still there? Did you get what he said?
What do you say?
No, I'm asking Ola if he got what you said now. Like, he's the one that asked now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but Ali, thanks.
Okay.
I got the overview now. It's very nice. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. Any other question, or just call it again? Okay. In the absence, okay. Anybody talking?
Any giveaway, any free lunch?
No free lunch.
Yes, please. And any free lunch, any last week pattern.
Don't worry, it's time to jump back. Don't mind.
Okay. So thank you so much.